So Julian Nagelsmann will not be joining Spurs this summer after all, but that doesn't mean that the club aren't in play for one of RB Leipzig's best midfielders. Marcel Sabitzer looks to be on the move in the summer, and his next home might just be in North London. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name is Will Fowler. If you're new here, first of all, welcome. So happy to have you. You're in the right place. But also go ahead and click that like button, click that subscribe button so you don't miss a single upload from my channel. Now, it's no secret that this Spurs squad is one that needs some pretty significant revamping. The last two seasons for this club have been shockingly underwhelming, and some of the club's best players are drumming up interest from other clubs in Europe. So who should Daniel Levy and Spurs look to bring in this summer transfer window to revitalize this group heading into the 21-22 season? Well, one name that Spurs fans will be very, very familiar with is RB Leipzig's Marcel Sabitzer. And in today's video, we'll learn a little bit about the Austrian, how he plays, and where he fits into the Spurs team. So like I said, Spurs fans will be very familiar with this man, but it may not be for good reasons. Obviously, he's been linked with the club for a long time, but he also scored a brace against Tottenham in the 2020 Champions League round of 16, that second leg that saw Spurs out of the competition. But there's a lot more to Marcel Sabitzer than just that one man of the match performance against Spurs. Sabitzer is a 27-year-old midfielder born and raised in Austria, joined RB Leipzig from Rapid Wien all the way back in 2014 when Leipzig were still in the second tier of German football. Aside from a one-year loan spell with Salzburg, he's been with the German side ever since. In his first year as a part of the Leipzig team, he helped the club earn promotion to the Bundesliga for the first time. That was that 2015-2016 season. In their first Bundesliga season back in 2016-2017, he helped guide them to a second place finish and earn their first ever appearance in the UEFA Champions League in 2017-2018. Sabitzer was also one of several captains from last year's Leipzig squad that got all the way to the Champions League semi-final, and this season, in 2020-2021, he's emerged as the club's primary captain. He averages 1 goal involvement for every about 192 minutes, 8 goals, 6 assists for the Austrian in Leipzig this season, but there is so much more to his game than just the goals and assists. So there is a lot to like about the way that Marcel Sabitzer plays, but one of my favorite attributes about this player is that he can play in so many different positions. He's so incredibly versatile. At Leipzig, he's played as a holding midfielder, a traditional number 8. He's played attacking mid. He's played as a false 9. He's played on either flank. I mean, it's incredible how versatile Marcel Sabitzer is. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of midfielders in the sense that you can put him almost anywhere on the pitch, except maybe goalie, though I'm sure he can probably play goalie if he wants to, and he'd be comfortable and he would succeed. This season specifically, Sabitzer has played in 2 main roles, the first of which is in a double pivot with either Tyler Adams or Kevin Campbell, and the other one is on the left side of midfield when Angelino pushes way up the pitch, puts pressure on the other team's right back, leaves that space vacant. Sabitzer will tuck into that role and play on the left side of midfield. But like I said, we've seen Sabitzer play as a false 9, we've seen Sabitzer play as a traditional number 8, we've seen Sabitzer play as a right wing last year. I mean, he plays everywhere on the pitch. Those are the 2 places that he's played mostly, but he can be utilized really anywhere. When Sabitzer is in possession of the ball, when he's got the ball at his foot, blink or you might miss it. And that's because he's so incredibly quick at receiving and distributing. 1 or 2 touches max for Sabitzer most of the time. And that's because he's constantly scanning. He's constantly looking over his shoulders, finding where the defenders are, finding where the space is, and finding where the open man is. Sabitzer is a player who usually knows where he's going with the ball before he receives it, and that's what makes him so difficult to mark and so dangerous anywhere on the pitch, is he's so good at that progressive, free-flowing, quick style of football that Leipzig love to play. Sabitzer is so brilliant with the ball at his feet, and that's because he does not waste time. He receives and distributes, rinse, wash, repeat, and that is why Sabitzer is so dangerous and why Leipzig in part are so good when they're building a play in the middle third. But Sabitzer isn't only valuable in the build-up phase when Leipzig are stuck in that middle third and trying to progress the ball. He is just as effective when Leipzig are in the final third as well, and that's for 3 reasons. Number 1, he loves to shoot from long distance, and that helps especially with this Leipzig squad getting very wide, stretching out the defense, but also putting numbers into the penalty area. That opens up plenty of space for Sabitzer, who likes to sit in that central area just outside the edge of the 18-yard box. He'll latch onto the ball and just take shots and test his luck. Number 2, he loves a late run into the penalty area as well. When he doesn't want to occupy that space, he'll find a channel and run into it, usually unmarked. 7 of his 8 goals this season have come from instances similar to that one, and Sabitzer's a player who, if he's that close to goal unmarked, he's not going to miss. And number 3, that space, that central area from 20-25 yards out, right at the edge of the 18-yard box, allows him to pull the strings. One ball that Sabitzer absolutely loves is to receive and then dink one over the top to the opposite side of the pitch. Wherever he received, he'll keep the ball moving, but lift it over for Angelino or Mukiele or somebody else, whoever's making that run to the far post. Sabitzer will receive the ball and then dink it over to the other side. That's a ball I saw him play in the matches that I watched 5 or 6 times alone. He absolutely loves to pull the strings from that central area. When Leipzig are out of possession, Sabitzer is an absolute genius of space and timing. Those are the 2 things that I was impressed with Sabitzer in the few matches that I watched him play when I made this video. Specifically, he's not a player who's going to go in and lunge into tackles and go to the ground quickly and force people off the ball, but what he does do is he helps his other more physical teammates do that more freely. For example, if he's playing in that pivot with Tyler Adams, if Adams comes out to press, Sabitzer will come over and take in that space, give Adams the freedom to continue to press and try to force a turnover. If a center back is coming out of position to press a ball carrier, or Upamecano, Konate, whoever, Sabitzer will drop into that center back space and let those players more freely roam to press the ball carrier and win the ball back. If, for example, maybe Angelino is playing too far up the left side, Upamecano has to come over and occupy that space to press a winger. He'll do that, and Sabitzer will tuck into the space to keep that 4-man back line. Again, Sabitzer, not the most physical midfielder, not going to constantly body people off the ball, but the way he understands space and positioning and the way the team shape is supposed to be structured, he does great work in letting his other players who are more adept and more skilled at winning the ball back do that by dropping into their positions and giving other players the freedom to get forward and to press whoever's on the ball in the opposition. Now that said, while Sabitzer is not a midfielder who's going to go in and consistently put in tackles to win the ball back, he does know how to win the ball back for his team in other ways. Sabitzer is always one of the first players to the ball when it's loose, when there's nobody on it, and because of his exceptionally quick passing range, he can latch onto it quickly and distribute and spark Leipzig on the counter. He's also very good at reading passing lanes and intercepting. He averages 1.66 interceptions per 90, which is more than any player, any Spurs regular in the 2020-2021 squad. And of course, one thing that everybody knows Marcel Sabitzer for in this Leipzig squad is just his ability to create, his ability to generate chances. He's so progressive, dangerous, very creative with the ball at his feet, can always pick out the open man and create problems for the opposition. He averages 1.22 key passes per 90, which would put him 3rd on this Spurs squad, behind Harry Kane and behind Heung-min Son. Not bad company. He also averages 6.88 progressive passes per game, which, if you're not familiar, is a pass that moves the ball at least 10 yards closer to the goal, and that would put him 1st on this Spurs squad by a fair margin, 6.88. Second place would be Harry Winks with 5.6. So that is a big gap. Sabitzer could come into this Tottenham squad and instantly become one of the team's most creative and dangerous midfielders, as long as he's given the same freedoms and responsibilities that he has at Leipzig right now. But even if not, I mean, he's a player that, as we discussed, thrives anywhere on the pitch. Just that attribute, that ability to be such a Swiss Army knife, can play at all 3 levels in midfield, can play centrally or can play on the flank, would make him such a valuable asset to this Spurs squad. So now the big question, how does Marcel Sabitzer fit into this Spurs squad? Well, I came up with 2 projected 11s, how I think this Spurs team could line up with Marcel Sabitzer in it. Here's the first one. It's a traditional 4-2-3-1, something that Spurs have used pretty much the entire season, with that typical back 4, Reguilon, Alderweireld, Eric Dyer, and Serge Aurier, and then a pivot with Marcel Sabitzer and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Of course, Højbjerg would retain his role as the more defensive of the 2, the one who gets into passing lanes, puts in tackles, and that gives Marcel Sabitzer that freedom to get forward, roam a little bit, and make things happen in the middle and attacking thirds. Then you've got that typical attacking 4 of Heung-min Son on the left, Tanguy Ndombele playing in that number 10 role. I've gone for Lucas Moura over Gareth Bale on the right side, just because I think in this shape you probably need a little bit more defensively from that spot, so I've gone for Lucas over Bale. And then of course the main man, Harry Kane, leading the lines in this 4-2-3-1. Here's the other shape, and it's a 4-3-3, which is something that Spurs have used, but not as much as a 4-2-3-1. Same back four: Reguilon, Alderweireld, Eric Dyer, and Serge Aurier. But here's where we see Sabitzer play on either the left or the right of a midfield three. I've put him on the right here, but you can just as easily put him on the left. He thrives in both roles with Højbjerg, with Tanguy and Ndombele, and then a front three of Heung-min Son on the left, Harry Kane in the middle, and Gareth Bale over there on the right. So that will do it for today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and drop in the comments if you're a Spurs fan, or if you're just a fan of the sport in general, if Marcel Sabitzer to Tottenham is a move that you would like to see, if you think it'd be good, if you think it'd be bad, if you think he'd fit, if there's something I missed about him tactically, go ahead and drop that in the comment section below as well. If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button, click that subscribe button so you don't miss a single upload ever again. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at WillFowler5. Go ahead and follow London's Finest on Twitter. That is the show that me and two of my buddies do on Twitter, on Periscope, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. in the UK. I will link both of those things in the description below. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.